Hello, and welcome to our next WebEx recording for SiteManager. In this recording, we're going to be looking at contract information and providing just an overview of the different parts of the contract record and some of the contract information that you're able to look up in SiteManager. I'll go ahead and get us started here. You'll be able to go ahead and log in with your SiteManager user ID and password. To get to the contract section in SiteManager, you'll go to Contract Administration, Contract Records, and then presented with some of the information about the contract itself. The first one that we'll look at is the contract icon. So in order to open your contract, you'll want to go to the Open button, and you'll be presented with a selection of all the contracts that are available in the system at the time. So from here, you have a couple different options. You can search for your contract by contract ID. You'll also see a description of the contract itself, and you can see that there's going to be minimal information that you'll be able to find there. You'll also be able to see the prime contractor, that's this vendor ID, and the federal state project number. When you click on each of these columns, it automatically sorts by that column, which then allows you to be able to search through that when you do a find here. So if I'm looking for a particular contract, you can see as I'm typing that it starts to search for what I'm actually looking for. So in this case, this is the contract that I want to take a look at. I can click it and hit OK. I can also double click on that screen, and it will take me to here. On this screen, the description tab, we have the contract status, the description, the contract type, the funding that's being done on this. You'll also notice this is actually the controller ID. So if you're more familiar with the project controller ID, then that will be where that's located. And then you also see the wage decision. For the status, there are 4 different options here. You have active, complete, pending, and then archived. The contracts that you'll see when you're looking for them up here will only be active, pending, or what was that third one? Or complete. Once they hit the archive process, you'll only be able to open those up in the reporting software. And the reporting software is when you go to the SRS portal. So here I've got a contract pay estimate summary already pulled up. And in order to see those contracts, you'll have a contract status. When you click the drop down for that, you'll note that you have 3 different statuses, and those that are in the archived status will be in the final complete. So just a little bit of reference on the information that you'll see here as far as the contracts that will show up based on status. The next section that we talked about briefly was the contract type, and that'll help determine the signature levels. And then you also have the funding, and this is just a general overall indicator. It doesn't speak specifically to the funding, but it does tell you that in this case, this contract has both state and federal funding, so it marks it as both here. And you can see the federal oversight and some of the other information on this screen as well. One of the other things you can notice is that the remarks bubble shows that it has a description in it, and this particular contract had a longer description, and you're able to see the full description on this contracts by clicking on the remarks bubble and then the description. On the location tab, you have just some general location information. Oftentimes you'll have the stationing, beginning terminal, route. You'll have the counties and whether or not it's the primary county or not. On the payment data, you can see on here the liquidated damage rate amount and the current contract amount. For critical dates, I'll just point out a couple of the dates that as we're going through, but you can see the award date, the date that the execution date for the signature, and when it was let. And some of the dates are required before a contract can be activated. So if a contract hasn't been activated here, it'll be in a pending state, and certain things then can't be done on that contract until it actually has an execution date and is marked active. For the primary personnel, you'll be able to see the project manager and the project engineer. If it's a consultant project, it'll be the state rep usually, and then the consultant project manager. On the prime contractor tab, you'll be able to see who the prime contractor is and how often they need to report their payroll. You may be able to see some additional information on here as well. If it was a DBE project, you'll be able to see on the DBE commit tab the percentage goal for that overall project, and then some of the amounts that are associated with it here as well. The training plan tab we're not currently using. Okay, so I'm going to drop back to our SiteManager main panel, and from here we're also able to look at the items, and the items can be useful when you're wanting to see just maybe a list of all the items that are on a particular contract. So again, I can use my search process, pull up my contract. This particular contract has multiple projects on it, so I'll select the first project that I was working on. And then I can see the items all of the items that are associated with this. And I can sort it by category, line item number, item code, or description. If there is a supplemental description, there are 2 additional fields here on the end. Usually there's not much information in those though. But this is just a quick reference to be able to look at all of the items on there. This will also include any change items that have been put on, so you're able to see those just at a quick glance. And then if you want to look at just one of the items, look at the mobilization. You can pull it up to see any additional information on it, and can be just a handy quick reference. The other section I wanted to show are the key dates. These are similar to critical dates, but simply these are a little bit more user definable, and there are preset ones that are always included in the key dates. The key dates are different from the critical dates in that they have a projected date and they also have an actual date. And important to make sure that you're filling out the correct field when you're going in for these. And I'll just point out a couple of the ones that are, maybe of a little bit more interest. But all of these you can find more information about in your contract documents. But the notice for work to begin, always wanting to make sure to connect with Carrie on that and make sure that you've got your letter and you're able to get going on it. And then, of course, at the end of the project, being able to fill out the project completion date and indicate when that particular contract has been finished out for the completion date. All right, so just wanted to have kind of a quick review or overview of what you can find in SiteManager with your contract information. Hope it's been helpful for you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.